Well, hopefully you're going to join. I'm not going to thank you until you join. And when you join, then I thank you. Very meta, I guess, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to mute myself in a second here. Yeah, finally here. Go for it, D.
What's going on, everybody? Brains. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over there it is, to be here. If not, you have to get out of here with your mama. Back to you, Phoebe.
That's the way, ladies and germs. Thank you very much for joining us, D, as always. Look at that, first in the chat, Bud Kilowatt with a green light. Bonjour, Christophe. Christophe's already in the chat right there. Bonjour, mon ami. Welcome, ladies and germs, whether you're French or not, doesn't really matter. You're both welcome, the French and the non-French. That's probably how the French see the world. Everyone's French or non-French, basically. That's basically how the Greeks saw the world. Like that's where the word barbarian comes from. A participant has set the caption language to French. Nice, right on. The word barbarian basically comes from actually kind of the racist way that Greeks thought of the rest of the world. Literally everybody else, they thought that they made sounds like bar, 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 because it's just nonsense, which is kind of funny because of course if anybody that knows Greek, or I mean if you know Greek this doesn't apply, but if you've ever heard Greek, basically, like if you know any Greek people, their fucking language is incomprehensible. Their script is literally Greek, what is it called, oh, I can't think of the name of the script right now, but anyway, Greek script basically, as opposed to Latin script, like completely different language. It's like Hebrew. You can't fucking read it at all. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, and when they talk it just sounds like fucking nonsense. So the expression, "Oh, it sounds like Greek to me," it's literally the first time. I can't remember. Like I've known Greek people growing up, but I guess I didn't. I don't know. I didn't hear them yelling at each other or something. But one time I was at an airport somewhere, and I heard like a group of Greek people, and they were obviously Greek because like the plane was like flying to Athens or whatever the fuck, and they all had like Greek shit on them, whatever. It was pretty obvious that they were Greek, right? They could have been like the Greek Ministry of Tourism or something. Anyway, they were yelling at each other, and I couldn't understand a fucking word. They could have been talking about nuclear physics for all anybody cared. Like it didn't even matter. Hilarious. Anyway, the Greeks thought of everybody else as barbarians. Bar, 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 bar. But anyway, it kind of amuses me that we're apparently trying to confirm our language. Whatever. Oh, I pressed cancel. I might probably should have pressed save. Well, whatever. If it doesn't work, we can do it again. Anyway, welcome both to the French and the non-French. That's basically the rest of us. Anyway, welcome, folks. Welcome, Skunk Ape Glassworks. Skunk Ape Glassworks. Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. Couch is in the house, burning and working. Good to see a couch. Cheers to you as well. That's a good way to do it. Another reason, honestly, to sing the praises of sativas. The really heavy couch lock stuff. Gosh, not as good to work with. I mean, everyone's different, of course, right? Bud Kilowatt has said many times that he likes the really super sedative couch locky stuff, and still somehow manages to get the work done. But I think also Smash has said that there's a few people I've known who have ADHD, for example, have a very different relationship with cannabis. So when they smoke really couch locky stuff, it makes them hyper. When they smoke really hyper stuff, it makes them couch locky. It's kind of funny. Anyway, but long story short, here's singing the praises of productive weed, whatever that is for you. I'm going to post the link here and then hand it off to Dee to say hello. Folks who are more than welcome to join our conversation. Whoops, it's kind of annoying on this laptop. Anyway, first world problem indeed, I guess. Here, copy and paste instead of accidentally clicking that shit. There we go. Folks, very simple rules, honestly. Oh, good to see you, Pip Jam. Pip Jam's in the house right there. Boom.
Yep,
Boom.
yep. Yeah.
Uh, Folks, don't be a dick. Don't show your dick. Pretty fucking simple. Don't be a shit. Don't start shit. Don't cause shit. Don't bring shit. Don't bring shit up. Just basically don't talk about shit at all. Like just poop is not welcome on the show. I know. I
There
know.
it
But in the meantime, really, we're not that interested in your poop or anybody else's poop that you know about. Don't be a douchebag. Also, we're getting really alliterative with the kind of metaphorical things here, but folks, don't be a douchebag. But other than that, you're more than welcome to come on here. There's very few shows on YouTube these days when you can come on, talk about weed at a high level because generally speaking, we have pretty high level growers in the show now. We don't really have too many beginners anymore. We used to have a little bit more a balance, kind of maybe let's call it Oh, I want to say maybe we had we used to have maybe like a nice representation of both beginners, kind of mid-level growers and experts. Now it's kind of filtered out, mostly sort of maybe not all experts, but like advanced level growers and then a few beginners. It's kind of funny how those things change when you think about it. Anyway, long story short, though, everybody's welcome, folks. If you have questions about gardening, you're more than welcome to come on. It's always entertaining to talk about those
Show your
things.
garden.
What's that, D?
Show your garden off if you have one, if you like to. I
That's
love
it.
to spray.
And show your garden off. I probably shouldn't
Like,
show them right now. The veg is about to flip to flower and it's a little bit overgrown. I'm growing plants for well, I don't want to get into all the details. Anyway, but that's annoying. All right, one of these days, I promise I'm going to show my garden again. Cheers, cake in the cup. Cake in a cup, not cake in the cup. Good to see you. Folks in the house. What's going on, Flora? KNC is in the house. Who else have I missed here? I'm sure I've missed somebody because I always miss somebody. Oh, looks like I got everyone. Anyway, lurkers, non-lurkers, welcome everyone. Let me hand it off to D first, and then we'll hand it off to Flora. It's a nice looking
oh,
nut. What's going on, D?
thanks, Laura. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, chat. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon. You can find me on Instagram at D underscore zombie underscore. I also do live shows on YouTube as well. Pre-shows on D zombie underscore 745. Come check me out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, just like this channel right here.
Uh,
Big shout out and merci beaucoup to Christoph. Thanks for posting that link for that hashish guy. That was really cool. I had to rewind it several times to it talking. The subtitles was going so fast, but pretty much caught what they were saying. So thank you, Matt Christoph.
what was the story
Cheers,
there?
everybody.
A live stream about hash, or what was it?
It was a video. It was a three-part video. It was this French guy.
Or was it Frenchy
Uh,
Cannoli?
pardon me?
Was it Frenchy Cannoli or somebody else?
I was someone else. It was
Oh,
a guy in France, but
huh.
he did make a Frenchy cannoli reference.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm
to
still
it.
kicking my fucking self. Another, I assume a Frenchman. I don't know. Maybe the guy's not French. With a name like Sumi Laval, he could be fucking anything. Could be half Finnish, half French. I don't even know. Anyway, the book Hashish by Sumi Laval. Now you can't even find it, and when you can find it online, it's like $500-700. It's. I think it was only printed one time, and only for a very small edition. I think it was maybe less than 2,000 books. Anyway, of the entire world, I'm sure not all of them still exist, and there's basically less than 2,000 because they don't magically get more. Anyway, I had a chance to buy one at Powell's Books one time for not even that much money. It was like $60 or $55 or something. And I was like, yeah, maybe next time. Yeah, sure enough. Someone else snapped it up and now I've never seen it
Oh,
again.
10.
Did it and whatever else. Anyway, fucking sue me, Lowell. What's going on, Flora? What's going on, buddy?
So,
Not too much. Just
Oh,
starting
sorry.
to the first smoke of the day,
Right on.
and I don't know, not too much. Just another hot ass day.
Hmm.
Makes me wish I was in the Northwest.
In your part of the world, it's always freaking hot. It's crazy. Some people would love it. Like D would be happy as a clam every single freaking day, right? Holy cow.
damn
Seriously,
right.
standing outside in his tank top. I don't know. Would you be wearing a tank top or would you still wear like heavy shit out in 105, 110-degree weather?
Who knows? Depending.
Huh?
Depending like the where it is, right? Humidity, stuff like
You want
that.
to
It's dry as a fucking bone there.
no, you want to wear linen and cotton, and you want it to be as thin as possible.
Huh?
Because sweat, like anything like what do you call that? It's not spandex, polyester, with any of that shit that's like plastic shit, like it just sticks to you.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just
Huh.
as hell,
Hmm.
So it's
Interesting.
like a different wardrobe than I had up north.
Which is interesting because some of those spandexes and stuff are supposed to be wicking fabrics. So I wonder, but I
Yeah,
guess
and
those are going
I have
close
some of that,
to-
like Nike ones and stuff, and like it's better, but not still not ideal for this type of heat. Like 90 degrees, that stuff works really good. 95 degrees, but once you like
Oh,
over
when it's
100, over 100, 105, it's just I don't
interesting.
know, it's too much. I guess if you don't
Uh,
drink a lot of water, maybe you'd be okay. But I drink a lot of water because otherwise you dehydrate and your skin's all dry and itchy and
it's the so interesting. I'm just kind of thinking about how The how do you even describe this? I guess the long, slow evolution of certain technologies. And I was just talking about to a friend of mine about how dirt science and watering is an actual technology. It's kind of hard to conceptualize that it's actual technology, just like Chat GPT or just like the laptop that I'm talking on right now, or a camera or anything else. Where am I going to with that? That the technology of linen fabrics and very loose woven fabrics that people wear in the desert has been evolved probably over thousands of years, basically. People didn't just plop into the hot desert. Now, the Sahara wasn't as dry and arid as it is now, obviously, the whole history. Surprisingly, even a couple thousand years ago, it was basically more like the Great Plains, but still, it was a fairly warm, dry place, and you wanted basically light-fitting garments. And so you see what do they call them? In Mali, what are those guys? The indigenous the Tuaregs, basically of North Africa, and then of course Arabs, Bedouin Arabs. They wear the very loose-fitting, even sometimes black dyed fabrics. If you've ever remember the movie Lawrence of Arabia, a lot of the guys in Lawrence of Arabia actually had black dyed fabrics. These days we see the Saudis and stuff with all white, right? But a lot of tribes still wear all black. Surprisingly, that's cooler than wearing basically like a t-shirt and shorts, essentially, because the way the light fitting garments go, it ends up wicking your hot air away from you. It's very interesting. It pulls cool air up from the ground, basically, and pulls it up through the freaking costume, whatever the fuck it's called, and then basically out the head. It's kind of funny. It's super high technology, and the same thing. I was talking about how what were we talking about? Oh, I was talking to my friend about how, Bud always talks about Jungle Boys, and how Jungle Boys has this very apparently um, hyper modern approach by necessity, basically, of very no runoff drip irrigation, basically very specific as needed drip irrigation to the point that they have zero runoff. And that was out of necessity because, at least according to Bud's story, maybe there's other reasons too, but according to Bud's story, the water, basically runoff, is penalized super heavily in California. We don't have to get into all the details because I don't know them either. But basically, because runoff is penalized, especially with salt fertilizers, they decided to have no runoff. And they're like, all right, let's figure out how to do this without runoff. It was just very interesting to me because I was in Israel 8 months ago, and I was kind of in the fucking Texas of Israel, where there was actually a lot of agriculture and a lot of very fertile land. And a couple times I posted pictures and video and stuff of this land. Well, funny enough, it was not fertile 100 years ago. Like literally in 1910, 1920, it was fucking desert, basically.
Yeah.
And you can still drive around quite a few places if they're not irrigated. That's the fucking word. I couldn't think of the word irrigation yesterday. Anyway, if they're not irrigated, they're just literally fucking rocky land. Like you couldn't grow goddamn cactuses there, essentially, in many places. There used to be a lot of swampland, so I guess has the opposite problem. You couldn't grow a cactus either because it was just fucking mosquito laden swampland. Well, so in Israel they basically had to figure out how to drain and then also irrigate the soil. And there's no fresh water to speak of. There's the Sea of Galilee, but that's not really a lot of fresh water. They could drink it up basically in a day. So they do get a lot of water from the Sea of Galilee, but they make sure to not pull it all out. Anyway, what they do is they do a lot of desalination. Well, desalination is pretty much the most expensive way you can possibly get water. So they have to literally drip feed the fucking plants in the fields. And so what you do is you see there's 15 different companies. As I was driving around basically back and forth to the hospital every fucking day, I would see such and such, and they would have it in English in many cases, such and such. I guess I forgot to take pictures of this because you never think about taking a picture like this for your show, 8 months later. But all these different companies that were basically specialized in drip irrigation. And how do I put this? Like Israel is a world leader basically in this specific, how do I even describe this? Just there's probably a word for this, but I guess I don't know enough about it to actually explain it. Of the no runoff drip irrigation, basically low water drip irrigation. So essentially, how you could grow, basically, if you want to grow weed on a space station or something where they have limited water, they'll use the technology that countries like Israel have developed. If you want to grow anything, basically, in the future with climate change, as the world
Ew.
drier and drier, you're going to need things like this high technology of drip irrigation. But when you think about it, you're like, bro, you're just watering plants. How advanced is that shit? And it's very interesting to me that that also can be a high technology. That's where I was going to with all this, is like do the soil science that we figured out with all the microbiology and everything else. We figured out basically that the diversity of microbes is so much more important than any one particular superstar microbe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's high technology. But it's so interesting to conceptualize because it's basically you're talking about fucking dirt and farming and stuff, kind of like they did 8,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent, right? But it's very interesting to me. And a farmer 8,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent could have been fucking rocking it, basically doing no-till, right? Doing the same thing that we do now, but they probably wouldn't have had any understanding of the underpinnings. They didn't have any idea of germ theory, so they wouldn't have known about microbiology. They certainly wouldn't have known about the different symphony of microbes. They probably wouldn't have been able to conceptualize the sort of soil food web that we call it these days. Anyway, kind of fucking interesting to me. I won't monopolize the whole conversation, but
No, it's definitely interesting because they had to figure out like water qualities, like what the fuck's in that water, if is this gonna kill the plant or not kill the plant? Can I drink it? Like, because I don't think they had a ppm meter back then.
nope.
And they definitely didn't have a pH meter. So as far as like alkaline and acidic, they had to figure that shit out. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We take it all for granted because we're just, we're born into it. It's existed forever for us.
I have no interest in going to the space station, by the way. The ISS. Just due to the
ISS fall down in a couple of years, I think, right?
well, due to the fact that they use they use their own urine as drinking water and everything else. So that's pretty gross. And their sweat, all the moisture and shit. That's gross.
You wouldn't be a big fan of living on Arrakis either.
No. I'll stick to Kurok Nor. Sonic Showers.
How old is water, D?
Star Trek.
Like how old is water? Like apparently we've been reusing the same water forever.
They say the same thing about air. There's basically a kind of a limited supply of air on the earth, and they say that basically every puff or every breath you take, at least one atom of it was in the last breath of Julius Caesar. Basically, as he was being stabbed by Brutus, and he was like, "Well, to Brutus," one or two of those atoms have basically disseminated around the world. That every time you take a breath, you'll get at least one or two of those atoms from his last breath, which goes for probably everybody else. I don't know anybody you've ever hated, or I don't know Genghis Khan. You probably every breath you take, you get a little bit of Genghis Khan.
I thought that was supposed to be you're supposed to miss Biggie Smalls. Every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be missing you. I'll be loving you, whatever.
Yeah. You can have him.
This is what I was looking for. I wonder if I can show this without getting my channel fucking pummeled. Hopefully.
I'm smoking ice cream cookies right now. What's everybody in chat smoking on?
Smoking on your mama.
Boom.
Okay, now how do I actually show? Oh, there we go.
Flour. Grape animal hash.
Nice.
Try to show this without bumblefucking my channel.
Bumblefoy calm machine. I think that's how you say it. Bumblefucking your channel.
You're what?
Oh, I'm just reading back to French how it said bumblefucking my channel.
No, it's not working right. Damn you. There we go. Now it'll work. Mother of S. So
we've just witnessed one of the rarest events in Earth's history. The first time it happened,
can you guys hear it?
Mm-hmm.
It gave rise to all complex life. And the second time, it caused plants to populate the Earth. What scientists saw is two organisms merging to become a single life form. That is, one organism swallowed another, giving it protection and nutrients in return for a useful function. In the case of plants, a billion years ago, that crucial function was photosynthesis. And for animals, a billion years before that, this process introduced the mitochondrion. And now, researchers have seen marine algae swallow up bacteria that can convert nitrogen from the atmosphere into ammonia. Plants normally have to get this crucial nutrient through a symbiotic but separate relationship with bacteria. But in this case, the bacteria have merged into the algae, becoming cell components that scientists are calling nitroplasts. So remember the name. Judging by the other times this has happened, nitroplasts could be fueling a whole new form of life in another billion years.
Isn't that fascinating? Basically, the engine of all animal cells is the mitochondria that you basically inherit an exact copy of from your mother. It only really mutates from female to female. So basically, you can very clearly track the development of a species basically through the development of its mitochondria. It only changes in very small amounts. Again, not every time you have a male, doesn't change at all. It's a carbon copy. But with a female, it changes ever so slightly, basically. That was literally from, it's hypothesized because we weren't there, basically some bacteria swallowed, what was it again? Here, I can look it up instead of saying it stupidly. My Wikipedia. Mitochondria. Mitochondrion. The mitochondrion. Motherfucker. There we go. Mitochondrion is an organelle found in the cells of most eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are pretty much fucking animals and shit. They have a membrane-bound nucleus, such as animals, plants, and fungi. Mitochondria have a double membrane structure and use aerobic respiration to generate adenosine triphosphate, ATP. You guys have probably heard about ATP. Basically, it's the energy driver of pretty much all life, basically. That's basically why we have to put phosphorus. So the biggest reason, other than fruiting, I mean, you definitely use phosphorus. Like, for example, in weed plants, we definitely use phosphorus in the actual fruiting structures of the plants. So obviously the bud structure, we need it, but the physical energy of the plant basically comes from ATP. Where was it? The structure, the origin, come on. Function, energy conversion. Damn it. All right, please hold. I need to find an article on how mitochondria were developed. But basically, it was when an animal cell swallowed a smaller bacteria, I think. And we've actually, they've found that we have a lot of I guess you'd call them endophytic organisms in our, maybe they wouldn't call it that. But anyway, we have a lot of symbiotic viruses and stuff. A lot of our DNA basically has been wholesale ripped off essentially by some of our ancestors from viral pathogens. It probably wasn't intentionally, well, it definitely wasn't intentionally ripped off, but basically it might have been a byproduct of being infected. So for example, a virus may have like ravaged entire species, but the survivors ended up basically assimilating that genetic code essentially. It's really kind of interesting to see how everything is all cobbled together like Frankenstein. All right. Where the fuck are you, mitochondria?
It's kind of crazy to think about.
The Euros.
But we become resistant to those things too, though. You know, the ones that survive. So
How many Euros are this?
what you smoking on, Fumi? I haven't seen you take a puff yet.
Oh, unfortunately, these days I don't smoke inside, but right before the show, a little bit too far before the show, because I could use another joint, I smoked this Banana Daddy.
Nice.
Uh, it's okay. It's all right. It's not the word like with a name like that, you'd think, holy fucking shit balls. There's not hardly any banana in it to speak of. It has a very particular kind of green champagne sort of aroma. It's an ethos cut, and it's literally like it's the same aroma I've gotten every single fucking time I've ever grown anything ethos. The white wedding was almost the same. The lavender ended up being the same. Had a little more gas on the back end, but basically the same kind of almost peppery white grapey champagne or something. Anyway, it's really interesting. It's a little disappointing, I have to be frank. It's not the best high. It's got a nice aroma. Don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of me. Whatever.
Mm.
You grow
What?
it or you
Mm.
dispensary?
Pardon?
You grow it or was it from a dispensary?
I grew it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no excuse. Like I grew it fine. It was a nice big plant, nice good soil and everything else. So it had, and it's very terpy. So it's very 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 smelly. But it's just me.
Well, I don't know. I take Christoph in that. Sorry, buddy.
Like yeah, sometimes that happens though. So maybe it affects somebody else differently though. Gets them high.
Mm-hmm.
Deadfish said, Deadfish fan, he said he grew Banana Daddy and every Espino was heavily grape. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes it's the inputs too people have, or if they're doing a soil or no-till, maybe it's whatever composition of what's in their soil, because it like more magnesium can definitely affect flavor, different levels of different stuff. So it's not always the 100% the genetics. Sometimes it's the medium it's growing in and what it's growing with.
True. Why can't I find the origin of mitochondria in this goddamn article?
Like Koski, he grew one of my strains a while back, and it was like when he told me and I asked him how it tasted, I was almost like offended because like he told me he was getting mayonnaise terps, and I'm like, what the fuck is a mayonnaise terp? Like, there's no weed that tastes like.
Ew.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he was trying to describe gas or what he was trying to describe there, but that's pretty disgusting. No one else told me that.
People have very different words for those things, and I think part of the issue is that the weed community doesn't really overlap with, let's say, I don't even know, the wine community or cigar community or anything else, where those guys are a little bit more, they're still far up their ass, but they're a little bit more developed with the discussions of what they're talking about. They've kind of coalesced around a few different things, right? I don't know, chocolate or whatever the fuck, right? I guess I'm not a wine guy, so I can't fucking spit off the terms, but you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of us, even if some of us drink wine or whatever else, we don't really use that same language. So I've heard from some people talking about SFVOG, for example, which is definitely a nice gassy OG cut. Like it's quite nice. I'm curious what you think about it. Well, in fact, before I say anything, have you smoked SFVOG recently? I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything like that, but do you
Not
remember enjoying it?
in the pure form in about 2 or 3 years.
Do you remember anything about how it tastes at all? Like, just broad strokes, what would you say that it tastes
I
like?
don't know. I mean, it was OG. It was like foul OG. That's how I just say it.
Well, when you say foul, what would you call that?
It was kind of gross. Like it was dirty, kind of. So I smoked
Yar.
it. For one, I smoked it in THCA diamonds, so I wasn't smoking the flower. But wouldn't say metal taste.
R. She smells like a harbor.
Some organic earthy thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it has a gas back tone. But it's not the gassiest of all the OGs, but it's definitely like I smoked it for potency. I thought it was like one of the more potent OGs.
Hmm. Yeah, that's actually probably a fair assessment.
And yeah, it is dirt. I guess it's kind of like a dirty dirt. Not metal, maybe dirt.
Not like
Yeah,
mayonnaise.
didn't have any mayonnaise in it, but it was like
Fuck.
wasn't like Larry where it's like sweet, or Triple X where it's like sweet. It wasn't like that at all, and it wasn't like Triangle where it was like it didn't have any pine in it at all. To me, at least
Oh,
what I
shit.
was getting.
And that's the thing. You haven't said any of the words vomit or dead corpses. You haven't objectively said anything disgusting. You just said kind of earthy, like right? Like dirty,
Yeah,
earthy. And I would say,
Yeah,
yeah, dirty, earthy, like when you basically scratch in the soil, you smell these kind of earthy terps, right? How else are you supposed to describe it? Well, you get a lot of that, I think. You get a lot of that gas back in, that kind of fuely back in. I don't remember it well enough, honestly, to say what kind of fuel. You definitely would. But what am I trying to say? But I have heard people say all kinds of things about
Uh-uh.
how it's like a dead body. It smells like a skunk dying in the sun. You name it, right? People say these kinds of things. And then weed people kind of laugh about it because I think they're all trying to outgross each other. People talk about famunda cheat, all kinds of really gross shit. I'm like, whenever I smoke that thing, I'm like, well, this just kind of smells like gassy weed to me. It's not really that offensive. GMO, for example, is just not that offensive to me. To me, it tastes like Chinese stir-fry onions. Like it's really not
oh,
offensive, gross, but I've heard
but
everybody say
when
dead
you
corn
take something, you
drying in
take
the
something
sun, you name it. Go ahead.
you take something like a chem though, and you're gonna get that hot garbage terp.
Well,
That's
even then,
different.
hot garbage is different than
Cold
corpse
garbage.
vomiting in the sun or some shit, right? Like I've heard
Yeah,
just
yeah,
objectively
definitely.
gross sounding stuff, and then I'll smoke it, and I'm like, but that doesn't sound like that at all. So I think we're not speaking a common language, basically. That's where I was going.
Yeah, and I don't know how we fix that. I don't know if that's something.
Coalesce over time, like there basically, I hate to say it, but there's going to be a few people. It's probably going to be the worst. It's probably going to honestly be, I guess we don't have to make fun of anyone who's not here, but it's going to be probably some freaking social media influencers that basically get the most coverage and then start to say XYZ. They'll start to say gassy or fuely or whatever the fuck they say. That'll probably start to take over the discussion. I don't know.
I don't know, we're gonna have
That's kind
a
of what happened with wine. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have a
Thank-
situation like Seinfeld where like they've made up like 15, 20 words or something. I heard, right? It's like like we're gonna have the same thing, but like on the East Coast, they're gonna describe it completely different than we do on the West Coast, and then Colorado's gonna have their take on it. And it's like none of it's gonna like be in uniformity. It's all gonna be all over the place. It's weird. Shouldn't be like that.
I don't know
I've been
about
saying for a while now I want to make a scratch and stick deck of cards.
that's like that's an auto X-Acto knife that you have like a small razor blade in.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of.
He's like, I'm not buying shit, man.
It's just
nice
carving.
All sorts of different blades. I've even got a curved one I'm going to use.
What is that? Clay or cement or what is that?
It's construction adhesive.
He's putting caulk in the crack last night.
Someone, I got a tube at work that they were throwing it away because it's all fucking ready to. Like normally this would have exploded on you at the job site and you would have this shit everywhere. Like see how it's all cracked right there and shit. Because this shit does not fucking. It doesn't come off. I'm surprised I can still shape it right now just because it gets so hard. I did this last night.
That's like your mom.
Ah,
Cheers, Dave Goblin. Good to see you.
heyo.
He's saying putrescine. That'd be funny if that was a terpene, like the. Oh my
There actually is. It's I think it is putrescine.
My goodness.
It's one of the chemicals you smell when you smell a dead body.
That would make sense.
Speaking
Putrescine.
speaking of SFOG, the dispensary I was telling you about has it in stock right now. So I almost want to drive to LA to buy it because I've been eyeballing it for like about 2 weeks now.
What is it again? Sorry, I was looking at the
And
putrescine.
the SFVOG clone. Like
Oh, nice. Right on.
Yeah, like it's
I need to go
available
back
there.
to LA soon. I don't know exactly when. Hopefully, maybe the end of next week or something. So I want to flip my garden stuff before I go.
Yeah, I think they use that putrescine to like train in soldiers and shit on that and like burnt hair terps and shit.
What was that? Hardcore? They treat soldiers with putrescine?
Oh no, they train them so they can.
Oh, so that they're used to it or what?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. That was apparently one of the absolute worst. I don't know, pick something that was the worst in World War One, but apparently just the ever present smell of just decaying corpses basically everywhere, where the ground basically was because the trenches would move back and forth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
as land, and they wouldn't. In many cases, they wouldn't pick up the bodies. In the first beginning, a couple of years of the war, they would go and pick up the bodies. But gradually, as the massive freaking death toll took over, and the trenches would basically cross back and forth over, even sometimes a couple times in a day, the ground just became festooned with dead bodies, ordnance, exploded ordnance, all the different freaking phosphorus, you name it.
Purchase,
Go ahead. What's that?
don't forget the purchasing smell.
Oh yeah, a lot of that. That's for sure.
There's another one that's corpsicine or something like that, or corpse something.
Yeah, they just said cadaverine on the Wikipedia here.
That's
It's
the other one I was thinking of.
organic compound with the formula blah blah blah. It's a colorless solid that melts near room temperature. That's why it's probably so easy to smell. It's classified as a diamine. What's a diamine? It's an amine with exactly two amino groups, together with cadaverine. Cadaverine is an organic compound with that formula, classified as a diamine, against colorless liquid with an unpleasant odor. It's present in small quantities in living organisms, but is often associated with the putrefaction of animal tissue. It's largely responsible for the foul odor of putrefying flesh, but also contributes to other unpleasant odors.
I've been saying for a while now that I want to make a deck of cards that's scratch and sniff that has all the terpenes.
That's found in mitochondria ATP synthesis.
Like a scratch and sniff deck of cards that has the terpenes themselves, and then like prominent strains, like a fucking OG Kush or whatever, and
That's good.
Northern Lights.
So it's pretty common in plants. So actually, yeah, there's a very good chance that it's plants that have been inoculated with P. indica. Okay, never mind. That's not our indica. Putrescine indica, present in excess. Carboxylase. Sorry, chemists, I'm terrible at that. What else? Same study found that putrescine added as a fertilizer showed the same results if it was inoculated with the fungus, which was shown in Arabidopsis and barley.
Bacterial.
Component of bad breath and bacterial.
In semen, found in semen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it definitely has some really positive roles in living tissue, but then I guess it becomes more prominent after animal death, where we associate it so negatively, probably. Even on a subconscious level, we've evolved probably to hate those aromas.
Oh man, I had a couple years ago when I was on that commercial grow, I took I think it was two of those, like they're like 8-gallon bags of blood meal, and I was making them water soluble where I put them in a 30-gallon tote with water, and I just had that shit stewing in a fucking hot greenhouse for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Mm.
And my boss was a fucking just a hard head, fucking kind of just I don't know. He figured that that he didn't need to move the totes out of the way with his 4-wheeler so he could drive through the greenhouse. And that didn't work out so well for him because he fucking hit that fucking one full of blood meal water, and yeah, he wasn't too pleased about that. Surprised that I didn't get coyotes every night after that, but yeah, that was a stench.
Yeah, it's something about like rotting blood. It's really something else. The fucking worst thing that I've ever smelled to this day is still, thankfully, the one time that I on I-5 in Portland, a truck full of rotting turkeys basically was we were in bumper to bumper traffic because there was like a huge car accident, and it was a super warm day. It was probably like 101 degrees, so it was just absolutely and it had been hot for several days. So this truck had obviously just been filled with just like two wagons basically of just rotting turkeys, and it was open. The top was open, so every time the truck moved, turkeys would slosh out. And the cars next to it kept getting fucking turkey shit sloshed on there. I was like 3 cars back, and I was just dry heaving the entire time.
Imagine
Oh
you're in
my
like a
god.
convertible or
You
something.
gotta.
There was no exits to get off. There's this one the Terwilliger exit to get off, and other than that, and it was too packed to get off. Like there was just no way, you're stuck. And basically, we're just in a pipeline following this turkey truck. It was so awful. Anyway,
I used to live by a meat processing plant, a meat packing plant, and then they had a,
Of course.
what do they call it? The fucking, there's a name for like the bad or the leftovers that they turn into our Skittles and whatnot. But the processing, like the meat packaging plant and the waste plant were like 3 miles away from each other, and we had to work right in between them a lot. We that's where our wood pile was, where we'd fucking stack all our firewood. And if it was a hot day, they'd have these open air fucking dump trucks. And oh man, that was bad. We quit work many days because of that shit.
oh my.
My my uncle used to have be a cattle farmer. So one time I was up there visiting and working, doing some work for him and everything. He a coyote got one of the cows. And I guess he didn't realize it for a couple of days, and so we found it. It was all dead and nasty. So my uncle had to dig a hole and drag it with the tractor because it's like almost like 1,000-pound animal, to a hole to bury it, and it just stank because it was been sitting in the sun for days because he didn't realize one cow was missing.
It was probably all
It
bloated.
was nasty.
Oh yeah, the first year that I was, or maybe it was even the second year. But when I was doing the few thousand plants, um, we had cattle on that property, and there was one that died that was it wasn't quite full grown, but it was still a really big calf. I mean, it was still probably 500 pounds or something. And that thing had died in the woods. And
Damn, I'm hungry
I
now.
went to, I wanted to take the skid loader to just to at least like dump some fucking mud on or dirt on top of it. And I fucking buried the skid loader. And so I ended up having to fucking, like the neighbors had to take like one of the big 8-wheel tractors to fucking pull the skid loader out. So then what I did is I just fucking built a fire around the thing. I fucking took a whole bunch of firewood and logs and shit and just like made it into like a funeral pyre pretty much. And I'll tell you what, that smelled fucking like I was puking trying to get that wood around the thing. But once I had it lit and actually roasting, like after an hour or two, that thing smelled fucking like just awesome for like 3 days. It was like I was having a fucking barbecue. It actually smelled really good.
That's amusing.
I can go for some hamburger now. I'm hungry.
Just steak. That's one of those dry aged.
Yeah.
All
No,
that was left was a cup of tea.
the fucking cherry pies, no more. I can't believe it. That's like
No
my
more cherry pie.
oil plant. Yeah, no more cherry pie.
Oh,
Oh, that's not good. I need to find that. I guess I got Joel. Maybe I can get it from maybe.
Yeah, maybe Joel could get it.
He has it. He sells them on his site, but I like that's an exorbitant amount of money to me.
Right. Yeah, that one stung like a motherfucker.
Yeah, the cherry pie and the raspberry kush are
Oh.
like they're hard to get.
good stinks.
Those are good steaks. Yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about those stinky things now.
Yeah, those are good steaks.
Uh,
Well, I've heard people say meat turps though.
I mean, cherry pie is foundational for like a lot of modern. I'd say a lot of modern strains. It's at least 3 to 4 generations back in that strain.
I just noticed Flora's background. Oh my god, that's funny. Double burger, cheeseburgers, and shit.
Oh, that's
That's
from
it.
In-N-Out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, double
it's
double
In-N-Out.
cheeseburger. Yeah, they have a very
Yeah.
simple. You can basically
established.
customize any part of the menu. So D, I guess you guys don't have In-N-Out Burger up in Canada, but it's a very famous
No.
chain, mostly in California. They have them actually the whole Southwest. I want to say that they have them even maybe down to Texas or something. I want to say like kind of in a stripe down the Southwest, and now they've basically followed up the Northwest. It used to be that the furthest north store by a lot was Reading, which is a good 200 miles from San Francisco, and kind of San Francisco area was basically the furthest north, and then they finally went up a little bit to Stockton and finally up to Redding. But for years, even though people had been just begging them to come up to Oregon because it's a cult chain basically, they wouldn't come up to Oregon because they control all their own distribution. Basically, they're still private; they're not
Yeah,
publicly
they're
traded.
family owned.
Basically, the reason why they don't suck is that they're still private, because McDonald's and stuff, everything is about basically pleasing the shareholders, so they don't give a shit about the customers anymore. Anyway, they finally have a bunch of stores in Oregon now, and they're talking about actually a couple in Portland. I guess one in Beaverton, and I can't remember where the second one's going to be now. But yeah, they're a total cult place, and they
And
make everything fresh to
in
order.
Washington. And I now
Oh,
heard of,
Washington too?
well,
Wow.
yeah, there's one that they want to put in Washington, which is really
I
cool
heard that
because,
Vancouver for sure. So I guess once they're in Vancouver, they can go further. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a secret menu at McDonald's even. Like
The
you can
thing,
get like
the thing with that though is, we'll get that in a second, but the thing with the going to Washington is that, I don't know if you've been to Seattle much, but Seattle's has something called Dick's Burgers.
Oh yeah, they're legendary. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, that's gonna compete with the Dick's, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out because people are always, a whole life, people are like, you should come down to California. Double the In-N-Out's so much better than Dick's. And then like the Seattle people are like really hardcore about like, they like Dick's just as much as In-N-Out. California people like In-N-Out,
I mean, the
just like
reality is
J-Fi's
that
mom.
they're probably just as good because honestly,
It's a different burger though. In-N-Out is like, at Dick's you can't substitute anything.
Mm.
Do you guys have Five Guys?
Yeah, we have Five Guys. But like, it's the same thing. It's like one family has owned Dick's. They only have like 6 or 7 of them, I think, in total. Around Puget Sound area. And
I love. Well, they have a few.
You either like it or you don't. Oh well, yeah, like the Dick shirts. Yeah, but
Like you
like
can
Seattle, like, yeah, let's stone, man. Let's go get a bag of Dicks and chill out.
like I guess one of the McDonald's secret things is you can order that a Big Mac with chicken or no, what is it? Yeah, Big Mac with fucking chicken patties for instead of buns.
How much do they charge you for it now? $27.
I think it's a lot cheaper when you use their, or like you can hack them. You can get their 2 double cheeseburger burgers instead of a quarter pounder, and it's less money or something. I could be wrong with that.
McDonald's is just honestly, they become
shop there.
like a caricature themselves. Yeah, the patties are like you can see through them. Now there was this chick on, I don't even know, I don't follow TikTok, but it came up on Reddit. It was all the TikTok music, and she was like showing the fucking burger. There was a Big Mac. She's like, McDonald's, what the fuck? And she literally holds up the patty, and you could see through it. Like you could literally, not the whole thing. It wasn't transparent, but like it was so thin that there was holes in the beef that you could literally just see light on the other side. And she was like, and she holds it up sideways, and it's literally like, I don't know, fucking 2 millimeters thick or something. It was comical. McDonald's was never high quality, let's be frank, even, in the 1970s or whatever, when everyone remembers it fondly. Because I remember when they used to crack an egg and shit for Egg McMuffins. My dad used to take me when I was a little kid, right? So I have all these fond memories of chicken nuggets and all this shit, right? But they removed all the kid-friendly stuff now, so they don't want anyone to hang around. They don't want anyone to hang around in the lobby or in the ball pit that they used to have. None of that. All of that's gone. And not only that, but the already mediocre food is now, let's just be honest with ourselves, very sub-mediocre, and they've
And
raised
very
it
expensive.
really something. Yeah, it's super fucking expensive. So
I'd say some of it is worse than candy on the health scale because of the
probably.
chemicals they
Yeah,
use.
probably.
Yeah.
Interesting aside, Morgan Spurlock, the guy that did that Super Size Me
Yeah,
documentary,
he died.
he just died a few days ago. He
Yeah.
actually, it's not like a happy story or something. He fucking died, but he died from the consequences of cancer. He was dealing with cancer basically, and obviously none of us were his doctor or anything else. But it's been speculated online that might have had something to do, probably a pretty good chance, with
You ever see the Doug Benson movie, Super High Me?
What's that?
You ever see the Doug Benson movie, Super High Me?
No.
Yeah,
What
Doug
you're
Benson
saying,
did one that he smoked weed for 30 days straight or whatever.
Probably be healthy after that. Anyway, long
but you're
story
saying
short,
that those 30 days of the diet may have contributed to the cancer. Is that what you're getting at?
No. Actually, quite the opposite. Unfortunately, the conclusions of his movie. Not that I'm defending McDonald's or anything else, but people were talking about how that's kind of weird that you had all this liver failure and everything else during that month that you just basically ate McDonald's. Like, it's not great food, but it is still edible food. Like it's not poisonous. Turns out he was a raging alcoholic and he was binge drinking basically every single fucking night. So
Oh,
that have something to do with it. Yeah. So evidently he
yeah,
had a lot of history with really heavy drinking.
yeah,
So
that would skew the entire thing, actually.
absolutely right. So, yeah, I hate to defend McDonald's because they're not a defensible corporation. They still to this day, I don't think paid that old lady that basically sued them. And that story, when you look it up, like McDonald's did her real dirty. Like to this day, they did her dirty because everyone to this day thinks, oh, this crazy old lady sued McDonald's. Actually, it was the opposite. She was at first just trying to get her medical expenses and everything else. When they legit burned her, they were serving the coffee above boiling somehow. I don't even know how the fuck you serve coffee above boiling, but they were because they wanted to be the hottest coffee. And so, sure enough, when she spilled her coffee in her lap, because it's a fucking drive-through, mind you, uh, it gave her like severe fucking third-degree burns on her whole crotch. She's like an 80-something-year-old lady, by the way. That's a life-threatening issue. Anyway, McDonald's was a massive douchebag at every single step of the way, and so she finally sued him. And the judge actually tacked on huge punitive um,
Damages,
yeah, damages.
compensation.
Is that punitive damages?
I think it was, yeah. I mean, there was also like, I don't remember, medical expenses in the millions of dollars, but yeah, it was a ton of punitive damages. But McDonald's has continued to appeal it to this day. She's passed away a long time ago, so she never got a penny of that money. And McDonald's will probably end up paying pennies on the dollar of the settlement after dragging out several generations of her
That's
fucking progeny.
crazy.
I'm waiting to see if this
Just
guy
for
that's been suing Green Thumb Industries for years now, if one what happens with that case?
I
Because
don't
Green
know.
Thumb Industries is the biggest weed company in the country, and they pulled the fucking potluck farms on him and did what they did to me, only on a much larger scale.
Hmm.
And where they took his company name and they like the guy that created the name Green Thumb Industries is he got kicked out of the company before they even really started.
Hmm.
Gage is
But
fighting Gage.
he's been suing him for years. Have you ever heard of a Mazel Tov Farms? Or no, yeah, I think yeah, Mazel Tov Farms in the North Bay in California there.
There's there's a lot of weed growers in California. It's hard to know them all. So,
They
it's a
they
small country.
they claim they've got the kosher kush there that they claim is the original Jews gold or whatever. That it's even got a they got stickers on their products that say may or may not have been inspected by a rabbi.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I thought that the kosher kush was the fucking Crockett.
I thought it was
Crockett
Jews.
DNA.
I thought it was. I don't know. I guess I thought it was Jews gold, and then it was.
Yeah, the Judas Gold was that was a pheno, right? The 24K, I
Yeah,
think.
Jubal was, I think, a Fino in Los Angeles, yeah, and then was crossed to the shit.
I know what's the big C. The company that used to do that Green Thumb Industries used to work with ran it for a long time. I can't remember it though.
Ah,
Hmm. Clone owned
But I
Seafighter.
used to go around a lot. You
Yeah.
used to see the the Jew gold, and then you would see the forbidden fruit at like every dispensary there for a minute.
huh?
Now you don't see either one of them.
That's enough. Yeah.
Forbidden fruit, I don't understand why you don't see that because that was like tangy and cherry pie. You'd think that'd be all right.
Have any of you guys ever smoked a Tasmanian skunk by Subcool?
Oh, Kosher Kush might be Reserva Privada.
Yeah, but Reserva Privada, they worked with. Yeah, it was weird because like they seemed to. I think that they were somehow affiliated or something.
Hmm. It was Oh, this is not very good annotation from Seed Finder. Well, anyway, you were saying?
Has anyone smoked Tasmanian skunk by Subcool?
Mm-mm.
It's a really different taste. It's like a really, I don't know how to even explain it. It's like a fruity, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Have you-
All Subcool's menu was pretty fruity for the most
Mm.
part. That's what he liked to smoke.
I just like to show off my nuts, by the way.
Your pecan.
Nice bag of nuts there, D. You
Are those
massage your
are
bag of
those,
nuts?
are those American nuts though?
I don't know. It can be Canadian nuts.
They grow pecans there.
I have no idea. They come from Costco.
That's what I'm saying. Those are more likely American nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Mouth.
That's right. You got a bag of nuts in your hand. And occasionally in your mouth when you chew on them. Flavorful American nuts. Um, hop on, folks. This will probably be close to last call. I've got some stuff to do today, so we probably won't go too much longer. Welcome to hop on for the last joint's worth or so. What was I going to say? I forget now.
Well,
Are you going
so
to
you're
construction adhesive, or are
What's that?
you going to paint over that construction adhesive?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just for texture. Or it's just
Yeah.
for, yeah. I've got some weird design going on here. Kind of looking kind of nifty.
What were you saying, Flora?
I said, do you have a breeding run going right now, or are you just about to flip for flower?
Just about to start, but I got to get it all set up. Basically, this is still kind of the new place, and I haven't really, figured everything out here. So still a work in progress. But yeah, I got to figure it out basically in the very near future because, like I said, I got to go back to LA. The next breeding run, basically, I think is going to finally be that Jack the Ripper that I've been trying to breed for probably going on a year now. But it's kind of ironic because it's not like I tried. I have some seeds. Where the fuck are they? Anyway, somewhere here. I have the Pacifica Days to the Jack the Ripper. I have a couple other things, but I didn't get a successful run. I was supposed to get a successful run last year with a bunch of plants, and it literally all fell apart. But anyway, so I've got this really beautiful Jack the Ripper male, and I guess I'm going to cross that to actually undecided, to be honest. I have a few options. So anyway, hopefully to get that out. And I'd like, honestly, finally to do a feminized run in the near future too. A few people have asked for it. It'd be fun to do, honestly. There's no real skin off my nose. It'd be kind of fun to do. I wanted to do it with the cherry pie, and then of course I lost the cherry pie. Fuck me. But I was thinking about doing it with my Sour Morgana #3, basically my Sour Morgana daughter, pretty much. It's this really nice, not as sour as the mom, so maybe it's a misnomer a little bit, but it has really nice chocolate notes from the original Cuvée grandparents. Really a nice high, like just super giggly, goofy, just fucking thumping high, like
Nice.
really not like I hate to say it, not like the Banana Daddy, but really quite noticeable high, and a really very aggressive growth structure. So I think that would make a really nice donor, pollen donor. So I'm thinking about maybe doing that after the Jack the Ripper, but we'll see.
Yeah, you remember Blackberry Kush? No,
Mm.
I found some seeds that are very old in
Hmm.
one box. So I have a
Right
blackberry.
on.
Okay, now I'm not 100% sure, but I think I have a clone of Blackberry Kush that I was meaning. I haven't taken clones of it, but I have a mother, I guess. I was thinking, oh, Flora would want that. I need to.
I would definitely want that.
I'm still upset about that cherry pie, but
Yeah, cherry pie. It's. I wonder if Fletcher has it.
I heard she's so good she'll make a grown man cry.
Well, cherry pie is just like, I don't know. I really like the flower. I like smoking the flower a lot.
Yeah,
It's really
good.
good. It's a good concentrate too, but the flower in that one is like where I think it takes. That's like of all forms, diamonds, different concentrates, hash. I don't know. I really like the flower cherry pie.
She's my
Because I wanted to
cherry.
do this whole, it was going to take me a little while, but I was going to do this whole opening up and back crossing thing because I had grape pie, I had my goji pie, cherry pie, and a couple other things
Yeah.
that were all very closely related. I was like,
Wrong.
interesting, and if I basically either feminized the cherry pie or honestly either any of the other ones would have been good too. The grape pie would have been lovely, and then basically go back after a generation or two back to the cherry pie again. It would have been some interesting stuff, but yeah. Maybe one
There was
day.
a guy in Minnesota here that bred some rhubarb pie, or no, rhubarb pie. I think came from
Wrong.
Colorado CBD. That was actually really tasty. It was like one of the only tasty hemps that I've ever smoked.
Hmm.
That was actually a pleasurable smoking it.
It was like warm apple pie.
Mm.
Uh,
Got
Yeah.
Scott across the Jack the Ripper with the Lime River Rose. That's the idea. I have some Lime River Rose babies pretty much growing up. So the idea is to basically select from something from there. Hopefully find both female and a male, honestly. I think I have Lime River Rose and I didn't germ the Lime River Rose version 2 yet, but I want to basically germ some of those too. Because the Lime River Rose version 2 has the Black Prince Ruby father, basically. That's essentially a whole generation. I had a whole line basically that I just kind of fucked up for stupid reasons. I basically rushed out the Coot Special Cross and then just kind of abandoned the Lime River Rose version 2, Morgana version 2, da, 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 da. Anyway, it was with the Black Prince Ruby Father with it, which will add
You
vigor and strength and everything else. Sorry.
I love Lime River Rose.
you have a TGA Jack the Ripper, right? Not
Yeah,
the
Delman
remake.
sent me
Yeah.
a pack of TGA Jack the Rippers. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I guess I haven't sent too many of those seeds. I've sent a few of those seeds out to some friends, but I bred a female that I found from that pack, and then I bred the male from the pack. I liked the male more than I liked the female. The female was too. Um, Oh, now I don't remember. She was too sweet, I want to say. She was too like sweet lemony, and I was like, oh, I want more of that skunkiness, basically. And sure enough, the male was basically all of that, right? Like kind of
Nice.
skunky, pungent, frosty enough. Actually had trichomes that you could actually smoke him and get high, so that's a really good sign. Anyway, I really like that Jack the Ripper male. Mr. Scottus has two gaffers tape in week 3 of flower. I'm excited to see that. That'll be a good one.
Big yielder. That's exciting.
The
Was
Jack
that
the Ripper is, yeah, it's gonna be
was that a Gorilla Glue 4 something?
really glue forward to the Coot Special. That's exactly it. Yeah,
That's special.
that should be a real nice one.
Which
I
is
think
like
someone's got to cross.
that was like an Afghani style plant or the coot plant, not the special with
The
the
special
coot
one
plant.
was more. No, I would say it's more basically pure sativa. There is a little bit of Afghan in there. Like basically, when I grew a couple of none of
Is
the
that the
seeds
Island Tire?
sent out seeds from the Coot Special number 1 and the Coot Special number 2. No, number 3. The number 2 that I had, I guess I had 4 males, but I only ever bred 3 of them. Anyway, the number 2 was very Afghan. It was actually much more squat, more broad leaves and stuff. So it had a little bit of that Afghan from the TO. The T. No, it didn't have TO in it. Anyway, it had some. Fuck, it had some Afghan in there a couple generations back. I don't remember. Anyway, it had more broad leaves.
Was one of those the Highland Thai Corolla or whatever?
It's the Highland Thai Kerala. Yeah. So it's a very aggressively sativa. I swear that, no, it's a Highland Thai Kerala. So there's no fucking Afghan in there. I could swear that this other one was a very Afghan shape. I don't know if I have pictures of it. I don't have any flower up from it anymore anyway. But anyway, it's one reason why I always say like the whole Afghan sativa indica thing is kind of nonsense because even in the same line, Highland Thai Kerala should be very aggressively sativa, but I definitely even in the few plants that I basically was selecting from was able to pull more thin leaf and more broadleaf basically, and they had highs to match. I guess that's where I was going to. That the number 2, it was squatter, it had fat leaves, and it definitely had a more couch locky high. In fact, it was a more like turpentine high instead of more like kind of pine solly. Like that was basically there's a lot of the kind of citrusy pine cleaner-ish basically kind of thing in the Coot Special. But that other one was very much more like, yeah, kind of turpentine instead of pine. It's subtle distinction, I guess, but it's still a distinction. like a crazy
Wait,
person.
whoa, wait. So
But
turpentine. Hang on, turpentine. And this was what was this parents again? Sorry.
Highland Thai Kerala. That
Okay.
even, I hate to say it, is we have to say it with a grain of salt because honestly, Coot didn't get it right. It's very puzzling. I got the seeds from him and he told me what they were. But then we did some research and it sounds like he just might have honestly been pranking me and other people too, or maybe just forgot. I don't really know. Thanks to some triangulation, we basically figured out that was Highland Thai Kerala. I used to think it was I think a three-way cross of Acapulco Gold, Highland Thai, and something else. Now I'm fucking forgetting, which was plausible from the structure, but a little
yeah,
frustrating when you deal with a
Yeah,
man.
because who used to say like we'd talk about Mandelbrot's Royal Kush, and it was like it's only one strain different. It's like a three-way cross, but one of them is different. And I was gonna say like man, like the Royal Kush, that's the only strain that I got the turpentine terps from. When
Hmm.
I was reading with it and growing it a lot, like there's definitely turpentine, like more than like it's not really like sour diesel. It's not like gassy. It's like paint thinner, the turpentine kind of thing. And that might be the Highland Thai.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Mr. Scotto said the same thing. This has come up a couple times. If anybody has a connection with Coot, obviously we apparently don't see eye to eye. I don't. I still to this day have no idea why, but for some reason he doesn't like us anymore. Still, pass my and I'm sure probably the rest of the panel's thoughts to him if you guys speak with him at
I used to
all.
talk to him on Discord, but his account's no longer active.
Oh, he always, yeah, that's Coot. He always reactivates, deactivates, reactivates, deactivates. That's normal for him, honestly.
Dude,
But yeah, anyway. So yeah, folks in the chat, thoughts to, I've been saying this, no matter what weird difficulties, and there have been a lot of weird difficulties with him, I really regret having worked with his genetics, not because the genetics are bad, but just because of honestly the experience of having worked with him and then having him talk shit about it. And it's not a great scene. I would not recommend working with him, but we all owe him a tremendous debt. Honestly, I'm not being facetious. We owe him a tremendous debt for the knowledge that he helped accumulate and basically disseminate to the rest of us. I said for many years that I was running a modified Clackamas Coot soil mix, basically. I don't really say that anymore, but it was essentially a kind of a modified Coot mix, basically, even down to the one third, one third, one third, all that. So anyway, thoughts to Coot.
what
I
was
don't.
it that you didn't like? That he was always was it Neem that you didn't like, and he would always be
Yeah,
like
I
really
never really use Neem, and it's not even that I didn't like it really. It's just I didn't see a fucking need for it. I didn't want to. I just don't feel like importing things from overseas and everything else. It's just I felt no interest in it. It's not that I'm anti-Indian. I've absolutely been obsessed with Indian culture,
No, I
many
was
times,
thinking like
but
I was thinking more like you thought it was a poison or something.
no. He kind of took it that way. No, he took it that way because a lot of people give him shit. I don't know. I think a lot of people just fucking trolls online and they don't know what they're talking about, so they seize upon something that they can kind of pretend to seem authoritative on, and so they become contrarians and they argue with people like Coot. So yeah, I think a lot of
No, they
people are saying,
don't.
oh, it's poisonous to the plants and da da da. Da. I never thought that at all, honestly. I thought, and I still kind of think that it probably affects the flavor a little bit of the cannabis. That's something, by the way, that Coot always guffawed at. He thought that there's really nothing that can change the flavor of the cannabis other than the genetics, which is just not true. When you think about wine, the whole difference between one year and another of wine is the climate, the soil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's definitely possible to change the flavor of agricultural products by changing the constituency of the soil in one way or another.
Yeah.
Anyway, one time he was laughing because, well, a couple times because I said that, oh, I was using too much bat guano in my soil and my plants were coming out really sweet and cakey. And he would just guffawed because he was like, oh, that's just absurd. Da, 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 da. And, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So what can I tell you? Maybe he's right.
Absurd.
Uh, Pardon?
I said that's absurd that he would think that I guess how would he not know? I guess he just uses the same worm castings and stuff.
No, I think he's one of those guys that, people who become very expert at one thing oftentimes become very blind at another. It's kind of an odd feature of human life. Doctors famously are very, very smart at medical school and doctoring and everything else. They know every possible fucking thing about the human body, but they'll assume that they know other things too, and they usually don't because nobody can be an expert at everything. I think there's some of that. Anyway, whatever. What was I trying to say? I was talking about before the bad.
Meme.
Oh, Neem, that I was convinced, and I'm not convinced, but I was highly skeptical of the fact, no, highly suspicious that it would change the flavor of the weed. I've heard that from other people, and I didn't really want to take the experiment, essentially. I also, so it's kind of an interrelated thing. I've also, just sort of anecdotally, I've personally tried neem a couple times. It was difficult to use. Like you have to use emulsifiers and stuff, whereas other things like Suffoil X is just fucking easy. You don't have to do anything, basically. Just add some to water and boom, you're good. You're good. You don't have to shake it or anything. So you had to be really on top of the process essentially, and it seemed like I was always kind of behind the eight ball, basically chasing that, never doing it perfectly and always taking too much time. And then what was I going to say? Yeah, the expense of it to get good neem, you have to pay pretty good money, honestly. Like a gallon of, I think Build-A-Soil has, ironically, Build-A-Soil is usually not the cheapest. I think Build-A-Soil has one of the cheapest prices on good neem oil, and it's like $60 for a gallon or some shit. So I was just like, yeah, I don't need that. $65 is
Here,
half gallons of Suffoil X. I still have like a gallon. I bought the thing. I don't even know how long ago, 3 years ago, probably. I still have probably a gallon of the goddamn Suffoil X in my jug. Um,
Was that the Karanja tree or something?
no, Suffoil X is
Oh,
emulsified,
neem, I'm saying.
basically. I think there's something else in it to help emulsify it, but it's basically emulsified canola oil. So it evaporates really easily. It's food safe because it's basically canola oil. Um,
I mean, is neem from the Karanja tree?
oh no, neem is from the neem tree. Actually, neem is from the actual neem tree, and they use
What the
it
hell's Karanja? Why is that in my head?
in well, Karanja is a grass, I think, and neem and Karanja, they don't come from anywhere in the same part of the world. Karanja comes from, I want to say, the Caribbean, from like an island grass, and neem, of course, from basically South Asia. What was I going to say? Together, they work really effectively, apparently, as a
Oh,
pest and pathogen IPM. Anyway, what was I going to say? Again, kind of expensive imported ingredients. I'm just like, yeah, I kind of think of it sideways because I just like, for me, the less I can spend on quality stuff for my garden, the better. Because honestly, I'm not trying to, I don't even know. Like I'd rather spend money on cameras and shit. I just, frankly, I don't want to spend money on dirt. I don't want to spend money on soil. I don't want to freaking import whatever the fuck from Colorado. Like I go and get the one thing that I will actually spend money on that comes from somewhere else is kelp. Every once in a while, I'll go to concentrates. Maybe this Saturday, I might go to concentrates and get some soil and shit. And I'll probably get a bag of. They have loose kelp, and it's like $5 a pound or some shit. So I'll basically get 2 or 3 or 4 pounds or maybe 5 pounds of it. And then I'll go spread that on my plants. And I do that maybe twice a year or something. That's annoying to me because, yeah, I'm basically kind of strip mining, by proxy, I'm strip mining the North Atlantic Sea for kelp, but it's apparently a sustainable product. It's inexpensive. It works really well. It has all kinds of stuff that my plants love. So, boom, that's a compromise I'm willing to make. But, like,
one of
shit,
the
I
fastest growing things on Earth.
a lot more than that. Pardon?
It's one of the fastest growing plants on Earth.
That's right. I think it's the fastest growing plant on Earth. Bamboo is the fastest land plant, I think, but kelp is faster. What was I going to say? Fuck. Yeah, the rest of it I try whenever possible to have local stuff. I don't have a worm bin right now, but as soon as I can, we're hoping to start a worm bin here pretty soon. Soon enough, in a few months, I'll be able to use my own worm castings. I won't have to go to Doug anymore. Although I haven't really gone to Doug for a long time, I kind of have my soil already. But as you want to make more soil, because I will eventually, basically the next few weeks, honestly, run out of soil and need to plant a little bit more. So I have to basically make more soil mix. The only way for me to do that is to go get some worm castings and stuff like that. What
I
was
hear
it?
snail castings are the new.
Pretty local, you know what I mean? I don't import it from some fucking place. I don't pay a huge amount of shipping, like all of that too. Like it's not that I do everything for environmental reasons. I can't say that, but I definitely do try to keep my footprint and everything else in mind. So every time I drive to Doug, that's gas that I spent. So I kind of think about that in terms of, versus shipping. But also anytime that you were to get something shipped, that's again gas, da 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 da. Karanja tree is a legume, Jim says. The neem tree is a mahogany tree family. Right on. It would amuse me if that was actually good. It was like, oh, I got to correct everybody. Marine algae kelp is not a plant. Actually, that's a good point. What was the point that I was going to say something with those nitroplasts, but I forget. So technically, it's not the fastest growing plant because it's not a fucking plant.
It's the slowest growing plant.
And you have a large and diverse group of photosynthetic eukaryotic organisms. So they probably have mitochondria. The name is an informal term for a polyphyletic grouping that includes, what is polyphyletic? Probably multiple plant lines. Group is assemblage that includes organisms with mixed evolutionary origin, but does not include their most recent common ancestor. Okay, I have to understand that. It's a polyphyletic grouping that includes species from multiple distinct clades. Included organisms range from unicellular microalgae, such as chlorella, prototheca, and the diatoms, from which you get diatomaceous earth. You probably didn't know. Now you do. To multicellular forms, such as the giant kelp, a large brown algae which may grow up to 50 meters in length. Most are aquatic and lack many of the distinct cell and tissue types, such as stomata, xylem, and phloem that are found in land plants. The largest and most complex marine algae are called seaweeds, while the most complex freshwater forms are the Charophyta, a division of green algae, which includes, for example, Spirogyra and stoneworts. Algae that are carried by water are plankton, specifically phytoplankton. And plankton, actually, people talk about the Amazon rainforest as the big driver of oxygen. Apparently, it's actually phytoplankton.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't diatoms, aren't they like the biggest oxygen producer?
I may have heard that too. Let's look up diatoms.
Your mom's a
Oh yeah,
phallic,
yeah, it's right there.
polyphallic? No, no, no.
Um, Diatom is a member, any member of a large group comprising several genera of algae, specifically microalgae, found in the oceans, waterways, and soils of the world. Living diatoms make up a significant portion of the Earth's biomass. They generate about 20 to 50% of the oxygen produced on the planet each year. They take in over 6.7 billion tons of silicone each year from the waters in which they live and constitute nearly half of the organic material found in the oceans. The shells of dead diatoms can reach as much as half a mile deep on the ocean floor, and the entire Amazon basin is fertilized annually by 27 million tons of diatom shell dust transported by transatlantic winds from the African Sahara, much of it from the Bodeli Depression, which was once made up of a system of freshwater lakes. That's fucking baller. I knew it
Wow.
was the nutrients from the Amazon or from the Sahara, but I didn't know it was goddamn diatoms. That is fascinating. The
Half a mile thick. That's crazy.
located at the southern edge of the Sahara Desert in north central Africa, is the lowest point in Chad. I knew it was going to be a Chad. Brad is probably right next door. It's 500 kilometers long, 150 kilometers wide, and around 160 meters deep, about like your mom likes it.
Momma.
Bottom lies about 150 meters, 155 meters above sea level. The dry endorheic basin is a major source of fertile dust essential for the Amazon rainforest. Presumably also probably drops on the ocean too. I wonder if it fertilizes the ocean as well. Dust storms from the Bodeli Depression occur on average about 100 days per year. One typically is some dust storms that swept over West Africa and the Cape Verde Islands in February 2004. I don't have to read all that.
No wonder the hole. Huh.
Fascinating.
I was just hearing something like just bacteria alone are like worth way more than the humans as far as weight goes or
Oh yeah,
mass.
in terms of biomass, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's look that up. Bacterial biomass.
it was something like they would cover the Earth in like 6 inches or something like that, or some
Oh
crazy
yeah,
amount.
and maybe well, I don't know. You might have heard it from someone else, but you might have heard that from me. I think I've said this before. Back in college, when I was in Vienna, my roommate was um, geneticist. I guess he was studying to be a geneticist. Now he's basically a microbiologist. I don't know what his fucking title is, but basically
Microbiologist.
geneticist. So a geneticist working on microbiological motherfuckers. And he was saying that he told me that if bacteria simply had a way to dispose of their poop, basically their waste everything efficiently, kind of like we do basically, or any animals basically, they would in 24 hours they would populate the earth 1.5 meters deep. So basically 5 feet deep, they could populate the earth if they could just efficiently get rid of their poop.
Huh.
Can you imagine how fucking lucky we are? Like literally it would take them 24 hours. That's how fast they reproduce.
And the exponential shit is
I'm,
no joke.
That's it.
And the
I'm also,
exponential shit is no joke.
I heard the pun the first time. an ever increasing pile of shit. That's exactly it.
I'm
Uh,
just glad, and I'm also glad we don't have tribbles. Just saying.
seriously, we would be in trouble on a wet planet. You know where they could have tribbles is on Arrakis, because I guess it's very dry. Maybe they could feed the sandworms tribbles or something.
Oh God.
That'll be one of the spin-offs. Apparently, HBO has the Bene Gesserit 10,000 years before the set of Dune. It's I can't remember the Sisterhood, I think it's called. And it's going to be about the intrigues of the Bene Gesserit.
Spice. I know that part of the movie.
Oh, rules the place, rules
What
all.
number Tremors are they on, by the way? Are they on like Tremors 12 yet?
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
3 or 4. Yeah.
That's a movie I don't watch. Grant Wheeler or Widener, sorry, says quality of perlite going down. If you can get it, again, thanks to Clack, that's something that we've learned from him. Now I can't think of the word for it. Pumice. Pumice is far superior. Pumice is basically the volcanic version of perlite. Perlite is essentially what? Like,
Melted glass?
to make it. Yeah, but how do they make it again? The rock wool is basically spun molten glass that they turn into cotton candy, pretty much. It's basically cotton candy glass. But perlite is exploded foam or some shit. I can't remember. Someone put it in the chat. Long story short, it's artificially made. Pumice, on the other hand, is not artificially made. It's made by volcanoes and shit. So if you don't have a volcano anywhere near you, for example, if you live in the heartland of the US, basically the Midwest, there ain't no fucking volcanoes there. That's the continental shield. Going to be challenging to find pumice there. But if you live on the coasts, probably a lot easier to find pumice. Well, definitely on the West Coast. On the East Coast, maybe
We
not,
still
because
have
literally the oldest mountains on the earth. So you probably don't have too many volcanoes over there. But on the West Coast, we have lots. Go ahead.
no volcanoes in Canada.
You got a few, but on the West.
Oh,
On
oh,
the East
there you go.
Coast, you don't. But yeah, up on the like by Alaska and stuff, you probably do. Whether or not people mine pumice there is a different story, because pumice is not like a high value, you know, fucking what's the word I'm looking for?
Over
Commodity.
hardcore.
So they're
Need
going to basically, it's the same thing with rock dust and shit. Basically, those are byproducts. They don't go mining for rock dust, I'm sure.
gypsum, need that too,
Mm-hmm.
which I think
Gypsum's
might
another
be
thing that
more.
I use, but again, like gypsum, rock dust, those things, I pretty much you can even see the country of origin or whatever. Um, the vermicompost I get locally. Like I try whenever possible to get everything locally. And honestly, these days I try not to use all that much, because I've realized that the soil mix, like how do I put the microbial diversity is actually far more important than the soil mix itself,
Yeah.
and the soil will equalize over time.
Perlite
So if you get it
perlite
wrong,
is glass too. Or perlite is volcanic glass heated to 1,000 degrees Celsius, at which point it pops and
oh,
becomes many times the size.
so do they pop obsidian or do they pop? That's weird. Look it
The
up.
natural volcanic material,
Jim is saying perlite is rock popcorn.
pretty
Interesting.
much.
That's cool. So the kernels kind of make sense.
Apparently, when you make something 1,000 degree, make it 1,000 degrees, it does some type of popping thing and gets bigger. Kind of like when I'm around your mom.
Mm, I was waiting for that setup. Actually, more accurately, I was trying to figure out how to say it, but I couldn't. What was I trying to say? That's why I want to get that chick, the Dr. Christine Jones. I should have listened to I was wearing his shirt yesterday. St. Bernard's observation booth. He sent me the tie-dye shirt I was wearing yesterday. He made that. Anyway, he talked about that Christine Jones and quorum sensing and quorum quenching like fucking 3-4 years ago. And I should have listened a little bit more carefully and tried to get that Christine Jones on, because she's been talking about some really fascinating stuff. for a few years now. It's not just basically last year that she started talking about it. And this stuff is way beyond what most people talk about in terms of not only even synthetic growing, but also in terms of organic growing. You hear all kinds of people talking about their soil saturated paste tests and this and that and the other thing. I think completely misunderstanding the I guess technology. I was talking about that earlier. The soil technology that they're talking about, they're kind of completely misunderstanding it and focusing on the wrong elements. They're basically just kind of throwing, I don't know, like a fire department throwing water on the fire, trying to put out the fire, but they're essentially, no, it's a bad metaphor. Anyway, they're not doing it effectively. Maybe another time we'll talk about it. What do you think, gentlemen? We might wrap it up because I have some things to do. If you'd like to keep the conversation running, I could make one of you as the boss, or if you want, we can just cut it here because I probably have to get going.
Cut it short. It's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I gotta get shit done too.
Sounds good. Well, good to see you guys. Who wants to go first? Mr. Skunk Puffs, what about you?
Take her easy, everyone. Don't be dicks.
That's it. Cheers, buddy. Good to see you. And if people don't know why I called him that, it's because his emoji thing, it says skunk puff puff puff.
Skunk farts.
That's skunk farts. Nice. Right on. Go for it, Flora.
All right, see you guys on Saturday. Yeah. Till then, later.
Good to see you. I probably should text him when I actually know I'll be in California, but hopefully I'll be able to go see Bud Kilowatt maybe. I wasn't able to this last time, but maybe when I go back down, I'll probably be there for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. So maybe I can go meet Flora. Maybe we can meet up somewhere, and it'd be fun to meet Bud Kilowatt too. Anyway. What was I going to say? That's about it. No big announcements. Folks, don't forget to watch or go take a look at fumidoro.com. I do have an entire breeding program. We don't talk about it enough, honestly, because it's just been a weird life. But I am trying to settle back into it and actually start a whole Jack the Ripper run that basically I wanted to finish 8 months ago. It's been a long time coming. Anyway, I had a chance to test that male a few times. It's a lovely male. I've literally had a chance to smoke the male. That's something that I recommend if you can. You can't really smoke every male. Well, you probably can smoke just about anything, but there's people in the world that smoke poo. Like there was this one Iranian dude that smoked poo literally every day. I wouldn't recommend it. But in the meantime, what was I going to say? This was actually something that you could smoke genuinely because it had trichomes and shit on it. Somewhere in my fucking computer, I have pictures. Everything is so lost. I got to literally buy some software. Not even Lightroom is helping me with it. I got to find something else to help me rearrange all my fucking lost photos and stuff. Anyway, but long story short, I do have photos of and probably video of that male. Hopefully I'll get more in the future too. It's a really nice specimen. Going to be some good crosses. I don't know exactly yet what I'm going to put in there yet, but I have a pretty good idea. I have a few plants that have been growing up for a few weeks now. Anyway, the fuck am I trying to talk about? I still want to send out those testers. I'm definitely not going to be able to send out testers for everything. How do I put it? The whole menu, I guess, because North Star talks about menus. Probably won't be able to send out testers for the whole menu. And then as soon as the feminized line comes along, because I really would like to do that, maybe right behind the Jack the Ripper line, I probably won't even have testers for that, honestly, because there won't be enough testers. So we'll see. I'd like to test a few of my lines going forward, and then hopefully that will help me go forward. We'll see. No reason to talk about it right now because it's all up in the air still. Anyway, what was I going to say? That's about it. Actually, check out fumidoro.com. What is the discount code, D? Sometimes people don't know how it's pronounced.
Brains.
If you'd like to know how to type it instead of pronounce it, it's BRAINZ. Ladies and gentlemen, save yourself 14% off. We mentioned gaffer tape. Fuck, I was going to do a giveaway today. It's too late now. We mentioned gaffer tape earlier. That was the Gorilla Glue to Coot Special. We mentioned, well, that was one of the few that we actually mentioned. Oh, I mentioned Morgana version 2, Lime River Rose version 2. Those are both with the Black Prince Ruby Father. Honestly, I need to redo my whole website. Maybe I can finally put those on the site. In fact, I actually have pictures of them. One of the biggest reasons why I didn't put them on the site is because I didn't have pictures. Now there's some pictures thanks to customers. Anyway. Ladies and germs, check out fumidoro.com. Go take a look at merch, seeds, you name it. Horticultural grow tips on where I recommend, timing and everything else. I haven't updated that for a while, but anyway. D, what's the good word for you, my friend? Go for it. And also, where can people find you?
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks as always to the panel and of course Fumadoro putting this together. You should have tuned in. Need to smoke another joint. Be sure to tune in Saturday for the takeover of 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific, with the possibility of a pre-show at 6 Eastern Standard Time. You can find me, of course, on doing the pre-show. I do the pre-show. You can find me on YouTube at dzombie_5. I'll see you all Saturday. Cheers, everybody.
Okay, good to see you. I guess that's about it, ladies and germs. We'll call it here. Otherwise, it's going to be another 20 minutes before I freaking say something. Couch Flyers in the house. Good to see you, Couch Flyer. Thanks, Pardon the Show, of course, for stopping by. Hardcore's in the house, correcting people with the Celsius. That is kind of a weird oven to have, Hardcore. Why do you have a 900-degree oven? Grant Widener. Who else in here? Jim, J5. Who else here? Operation Annihilation. I didn't see you earlier. Who else in here? Mr. Scotto, of course. Good to see you, Mr. Scotto. We gotta have a little smoke sesh one of these days. Oh, I didn't see this. Mr. Scotto says the Coot Terps overrides the GG4. Not surprising, but it does smell good. Big yield, similar to the Pacifica Days. Oh, right on. He's already harvested it. Oh, wait, no. He still has 2 gaffer stapes in week 3. Going to be a big yielder. I didn't read that part. There we go. Yeah, that Coot Special line seems to have a very productive lineage. Every plant that I've grown has been a pretty big producer. That's not true. I grew one Black Knight's Delight that was a little bit more on the compact side, but very pungent. But all the rest, the Surf Grape, the Pacifica Days, what else? A couple other ones. They've all been nice big plants. Anyway, ladies and germs, I'll call it there. If I didn't have a chance, oh, Christoph, of course, if I didn't have a chance to shout out your name, hopefully I will shout you out next time, and maybe consider yourselves shouted out in the meantime. Be kind, be decent, be gentle, my friends. Don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. Puff something wonderful if you can. If you're not able to, then treat yourself in another way. Perhaps buy yourself a croissant or something, or I don't know, cookie. Make sure it's a good cookie. I'm kind of a cookie snob. Like I think most people around the world don't know how to make a good chocolate chip cookie. I said it. Fight me. We should have a chocolate chip cookie off one of these days. I'm willing to bet that I'm going to beat you. I have a pretty solid chocolate chip cookie game. If you guys
Damn
want to
fighting words.
bring the chocolate chip cookie fucking fight, that's a fight I'm willing to. That's a fight I'm willing to fight. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, chocolate chip cookies aside, have a good one. Like I said, puff something wonderful. And until we see each other again, D, so take over this Saturday.
Yes, sir. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Pacific.
Boom.